Bayer Leverkusen, Bundesliga, the year is 2036. The season ended and after 38 matches, Bayer Leverkusen sits at the top of the table. 112 goals were scored and 47 were conceded. The UEFA Champions League, the year is still 2036. After many matches, one team took the trophy home. That team was Bayer Leverkusen. I know that as the rest of the 17 teams in the Bundesliga and AC Milan, you are wondering how it's possible. There is one answer to the question. Arrigo Sacchi is an Italian former professional football manager, best known for having twice managed AC Milan with great success. But much like Bayer Leverkusen in my save, he looked for that success for many years. He started his career managing his local club, Baracca Lugo. Arrigo Sacchi stated that I was 26, my goalkeeper was 39 and my center forward was 32. I had to win them over. He next coached at Bellaria before joining Cesena as a youth team coach. He then took over at Rimini, who were playing in the Serie C1 and almost led them to a title. Years passed and it seemed like he couldn't make it work. He couldn't find any real success. But then came Parma. In 1985, Parma weren't the club we know nowadays. They were a club languishing in the Serie C1 of Italian football, trying to get promoted to Serie B. And once Arrigo Sacchi joined them, things changed. He led Parma to promotion in his first season, and in the following season took them to 3 points of promotion to Serie A. A greater importance to his time at Parma, however, had the team's performance in the Coppa Italia, where they beat AC Milan 1-0 in the group stage and beat them again 1-0 on aggregate in the first knockout round. And this was enough to attract the interest of AC Milan's club owner Silvio Berlusconi, who promptly appointed Sacchi as manager. Before we delve deeper into the Italian manager's time at AC Milan, we need to understand his philosophy and why, maybe, it was so hard for him to find success. Arrigo Sacchi grew up knowing about attacking teams like Budapest Honvéd, Real Madrid or the Netherlands national football team. Very attacking teams. However, the Italian football was dominated at that time by fierce defensive football with low scoring games. The influence of Elenio Herrera and other defensive managers was still present. But Arrigo Sacchi was about to challenge it all, and AC Milan was the perfect club to do it with. Silvio Berlusconi's club was still developing, looking to find a much-needed success. Even at a club like AC Milan, Arrigo Sacchi faced problems of credibility. The press questioned his appointment. They claimed that Arrigo Sacchi never played football at a high level, so how could he bring success to AC Milan? To which the manager replied with his iconic line, "I never realized that in order to become a jockey, you have to have been a horse first." Arrigo Sacchi proved everyone wrong and won the league title in his debut season, following it up with the Supercoppa Italiana in 1988. He also managed to win 2 back-to-back European Cups with the Italian club in 1989 and 1990. After a few other trophies won, Arrigo Sacchi left AC Milan to manage the Italian national football team in 1991. But his legacy remained at AC Milan, and through his work, he managed to challenge and change the Italian football mentality at that time. Using the players at his disposal, iconic players no less, he set up a 4-4-2 formation. Of course, the sweeper keeper was non-existent at that time. However, since we have it, let's use it. The back four was set up in a way to take advantage of the player's abilities and to also protect the goal. 2 wingbacks, one on support on the right side and one on attack on the left side. Both are asked to stay wider, to stretch the pitch when the team is in possession, making it hard for the opposition to press effectively. The left-sided one is also asked to cross more often. One ball-playing defender and one central defender on defense make up the defensive line. In midfield is where it all happens for this tactical setup. And is not only the formation. 2 wingers, one on attack and one on support. This is to complement the wingbacks on each flank. The right-sided winger is asked to cut inside with the ball and mark tighter, while the left-sided one to mark tighter. The wingers are required to go up the field in possession, challenging the opposition in the final third. By cutting inside, the right-sided one should be able to disrupt any low block rigid setup. Also, the left-sided wingback being on attack and going up naturally creates an overload on the left side of the attack, making it hard for the opposition to maintain their defensive shape intact. One central midfielder and one deep line playmaker on support make up the midfield of the team. There are no instructions for the central midfielder, so the traits of each player used in this position will dictate how they play. The deep line playmaker is thought to be the team's passing hub and the first play in defending any opposition counterattacks. And the strikers are a deep line forward and an advanced forward. The deep line forward's objective is to disrupt the opposition's defensive shape further by coming deep to aid the passing game, while the advanced forward pushes up the field, moving into channels. With this kind of setup and Arrigo Sacchi's approach on the game, only one mentality would work: attacking. In possession, fairly wide attacking width and play out of defense, standard passing directness and a slightly higher tempo, and work the ball into the box. With this setup, the team looks to pass the ball fast and in a direct fashion, but when it reaches the opposition's box, it works the ball into the box, creating overloads and creating the best chances of scoring. Essentially, beating the opposition at their own game, which at that time was catenaccio, passively defending their box in numbers. In transition, counter-press, counter, and distribute the ball to the defense through short kicks. And out of possession, a mid-block and a much higher defensive line. This is why I said earlier that the midfield is where all happens for this tactic. Arrigo Sacchi coached his team to bring the lines no further than 25 meters of each other, crowding the midfield, making it very hard for the opposition to play through, creating a catenaccio setup in the midfield. With this setup, AC Milan could defend relatively easy given the players they had in their squad, as the opposition had two options: play out from the back and face AC Milan players in 1v1 battles, or play through balls or over the top ones, which ended with the defenders or the goalkeeper often. To complement this setup, trigger press is more often, step up more is used, and drop outside, compacting the defensive shape even further. In my save, the squad is very good, and it may be a factor that helped us to win the league title and the UEFA Champions League trophy. But it's not very often that a tactic helps a team to score more than 100 goals in a season and concede less than 50. Arrigo Sacchi's football in view challenged the established system used at that time and brought him success in the end. The legacy he created with AC Milan remains to this day, and I'm sure is going to be analyzed and talked about for years to come. Now, Jose Mourinho is a football manager that you either like or not. There is no in between with him. He introduced himself as a talented manager back when he won the UEFA Champions League with FC Porto. Chelsea came knocking and his answer was iconic.
I think I'm a special one.
And special he was. 3 Premier League titles with Chelsea, out of which 2 in a row, 2 UEFA Champions League trophies, 1 UEFA Europa League title, and 1 UEFA Europa Conference League title, which helped Jose Mourinho become the first manager to win every European continental competition. Of course, many other distinctions have been won by the Portuguese manager, and he did all this by sticking to a few key tactical principles: a compact defensive shape, ruthless counter-attacking football, and clinical finishing. The formations he used changed according to each team he managed, from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-5-1 to a 4-3-3. Of course, other variations were used. We will be focusing on the 4-2-3-1 formation, but there are at least 2 other videos covering Jose Mourinho's tactic on my channel and my website, so make sure to check them out as well. Good, we start with the sweeper keeper in goal. The sweeper keeper is a modern, more advanced role for the goalkeeper, helping the possession game and sweeping up the loose balls. The back 4 is made of 1 fullback on support duty, a central defender and a ball-playing defender on defend duty, and a wing-back on attack. With the right player for the role, the left back can also be a complete wing-back on attack in this setup. Fenerbahce having Ferdi Cadiolu, he fits the bill for both roles. The fullback is asked to cross less often and stay wider. The wing-back is asked to take more risks and dribble more. The 2 defensive midfielders are a defensive midfielder on support and a deep line playmaker on support. The roles are different, as the defensive midfielder must be the screen in front of the defense. While he is expected to recycle the possession of the ball, his primary task is to defend. While the playmaker is the engine of the tactic. Each attack should start or go through him. Dribble less for both. The wingers are a winger on support and an inside forward on attack. The setup is like this to shake up the opposition's defense structure and to force the defenders to focus on different role interpretations. The winger can be asked to cut inside, or he can do it naturally if the player has this trait. However, I would limit this as the fullback is not proactively venturing in the attack, and the winger cutting inside often may leave the flank vulnerable to counterattacks. The inside forward is asked to sit narrower though. He must cut inside and become a second striker, making room for the wingback to go up and exploit. And with Alan Saint-Maximin, you can be sure that the inside forward role can be interpreted perfectly. The formation is completed by an advanced playmaker on support and a deep line forward on attack duty. Of course, instead of the deep line forward, an advanced forward or a target forward could be used, for Edin Dzeko. However, I found that the match engine interpreted the tactic better when a deep line forward was used. The 4 attacking players are asked to mark tighter. This is in a bid to stick close to their opponents, forcing their mistake when they are on the ball. As mentality, I used attacking. It seemed to work better with this setup, making the players be more aggressive when in possession. But if it is too much for your team, change it to positive. In possession, fairly wide attacking width and focus play down both flanks. This will make the players stretch the pitch, forcing the opposition to go wide as well and leaving open spaces to be attacked into. Standard passing directness and a higher tempo. Jose Mourinho seems to be asking his team to attack the opposition's goal as fast as possible, and with the players at his disposal, this can be done quite efficiently. Play for set pieces and run a defense. In transition, counter and distribute the ball quickly to the defense through short kicks. There is no counter press ticked off, but the players will still apply it if the game moment allows it. And out of possession, a high press and a standard defensive line. Trigger press slightly more often and get stuck in. Using this tactic, we finished third in Bundesliga in my save as Bayer Leverkusen, but only 1 point behind RB Leipzig. We scored 71 goals and conceded 31. As you can see, the tactic is aggressive in possession, which means that if used with a mid-table to relegation battle team, you may struggle. What this setup gives though is balance. You can tweak it however you see fit and keep it close to Jose Mourinho's style. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a fan of Jose Mourinho's style of play. He is approaching the end of his career, but I think that he can still bring success to anything he manages. This tactic has helped us be undefeated and score more than 100 goals in the league. Back in 2017, AS Monaco fielded a lineup having Kylian Mbappe, Bernardo Silva and Radamel Falcao among others. And the title-winning team was led by none other than Leonardo Jardim. Leonardo Jardim was born in Barcelona, Venezuela, to Portuguese parents. He returned to Portugal at a young age, relocating to the island of Madeira. Moving from one club to another, he arrived at Sporting Lisbon in 2013. Leading a team full of young players developed in the club's youth academy, he led the Lisbon team to second place in 2013-2014 with 25 points and 18 goals more than the previous season. This caught the attention of AS Monaco, who during the same season finished runners-up to PSG in Ligue 1. In June 2014, Leonardo Jardim signed for the Monaco-based club and starting reshaping the team using his own principles and ideas. Displaying attacking football, in the 2016-2017 season, Leonardo Jardim and AS Monaco won the league title after 17 years. And this is the season we are interested in. As mentioned, his side displayed attacking football as the manager's idea revolved around resilient defending, fast recovery of the ball and quick attacks to surprise the opposition. A 4-4-2 formation on paper, but a 2-4-4 in attack, with a sweeper keeper on defend duty in goal. The goalkeeper is not asked to be Manuel Neuer, but he must be there when the team needs to recycle the possession of the ball. A back four made of 2 wingbacks on attack and 2 ball-playing defenders on defend duty. This is an aggressive and attack-minded setup, as the ball-playing defenders will also look to participate in the possession game as much as possible. The wingbacks are told to cross more often and stay wider. The midfield is made of a wide playmaker on support duty, Bernardo Silva, a ball-winning midfielder on defense duty, Fabinho, a box-to-box midfielder, Tiemue Bakayoko, and an inverted winger on attack duty, Mostafa Toma Lemar. This is a dynamic midfield setup, made of diverse roles. This midfield setup, coupled with the quality of Radamel Falcao, helped AS Monaco dominate the French football in 2016-2017. The box-to-box midfielder is told to take more risks and mark tighter, and the strikers are an advanced forward, Radamel Falcao, and a complete forward, Kylian Mbappé. As mentality, I chose positive. In possession, fairly wide attacking width, overlap on both flanks and play out of defense, shorter passing directness and a slightly higher tempo. As mentioned, when in possession, the team would often line up in a 2-4-4 formation, with the wingers going up with the strikers and the wingbacks offering the necessary width to the tactic. This created the dynamic of the tactic, overloading the opposition and offering passing options to the players, bouncing the ball around until an opening appeared. In transition, counter-press, counter, and distribute the ball to the defense. And out of possession, a high press and a higher defensive line, trigger press more often and trap outside. When out of possession, the team tried to recover the ball as fast as possible. When this became impossible, they retreated in the 4-4-2 formation, harrying their opponents of the ball and compacting the defensive shape. In my save, we have won the Eredivisie title with Ajax, finishing the season unbeaten and with 10 points in front of Feyenoord. Also, we scored 103 goals and conceded only 17. As you can see, this is a very dominant tactical setup, if employed with the right players. Leonardo Jardim may have managed a lot of clubs so far in his career, but the tactical setup he created for that AS Monaco side will always be remembered as one of the best tactics the world of football has witnessed. On 18th of December 2022, Argentina won the FIFA World Cup after 36 years. On 15th of July 2024, Argentina won the Copa America consecutively after winning it in 2021. The master of these achievements, Lionel Scaloni. Of course, the players did most of the work, but Argentina always had extraordinary players. In recent years, they seemed to lack someone who would guide them to trophies, and that someone became Lionel Scaloni. His naming as the next Argentina football national team manager unleashed a wave of criticism in the country, including the legendary Diego Maradona. Not good when not even God himself likes you. The criticism came mainly because of Lionel Scaloni's lack of experience as a football manager, at least at the required level. His appointment at the time was also viewed as a lack of vision from the Argentinian Football Federation side. But Lionel Scaloni proved everyone wrong, and he did it in the best way possible, turning his doubters into loyal followers, especially after the World Cup win, a trophy that eluded the nation ever since Diego Maradona left the field. The former great football player of Deportivo La Coruña implemented a simple-looking tactical setup, but one that played on his team's strengths. A 4-4-2 on paper, but one that can easily become a 2-4-4 in attack, starting with a sweeper keeper on support duty in goal. It's not mandatory for the goalkeeper to be a sweeper one, but in a world where every player counts in possession, he must become a passing option at times. A back four made of two central defenders on defense duty, one wingback on support, and one wingback on attack. Lionel Scaloni prefers his central defenders to just defend and not participate in the possession game, but his wingbacks are a different story. They must provide the width of the tactic, help their teammates when they are in trouble in the middle of the field. Also, the left-sided wingback is asked to go further forward than his right-sided teammate. This is in a bid to release the winger and help him tuck inside to apply pressure in the half spaces. The midfield four are a wingback on attack, a mezzala on support, a box-to-box midfielder, and an inverted winger on support. They are set up like this as their movement is the core of the tactic. If the midfielders interpret their roles well, the tactic will be unstoppable in attack. The box-to-box midfielder is told to take more risks, get further forward, and move into channels. And the tactic duo are a trequartista and an advanced forward. the trequartista is required to relinquish his position on the pitch and move around, dragging some of the defenders onto him, while the advanced forward is required to do the opposite and look for space to attack into. As mentality, I chose positive. Attacking could also work, but be mindful that the attacking duties will make the players more aggressive on the ball. In possession, fairly wide attacking width, pass into space and play out of defense. Argentina relies heavily on the wingers and forwards movement. Thus, the pass into space option is used. However, if the team you play against sit deep, take this option off as there is little to no space to pass the ball into, and either let the players decide or ask them to ward the ball into the box, to crowd the box and look for the mistake or the opportunity to score. Shorter passing diagonals and a slightly higher tempo. In transition, counter press, counter, and distribute the ball to the defense through short kicks. And out of possession, a mid-block and a standard defensive line. Sitting in a mid-block required the opposition to pass the ball around in a bid to drag Argentina out, and when this didn't work, they were forced to either play through balls, which had little to no effect, or to take the Argentinian players on, which resulted in 50-50 chances of success. Trigger presses more often and trap outside to make the team compact in defense. In my save, I moved to Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga, and in my first season, also using this tactic, we finished second in the league, scoring 98 goals and conceding 48. We even managed to win against Bayern München once, 2-1, but the greatest result came in the UEFA Europa League, where we won the trophy, in a poetic way in my save, against Ajax, my former club. Lionel Scaloni brought to Argentina a key missing element: stability of the ball. Argentina wrote another piece of their history under their manager, and let's see what they can do next. This is one of the best tactics I have ever used in FM. Thank you, Legacy of K in Pain, for the suggestion. What is it that you look for in a football manager tactic? Is it conceding few goals? Is it dominating your opposition? Is it playing on the counter? Or just having fun? Whatever it is, this man has got you covered. His tactic has been off the charts for me, and the opposition we faced couldn't cope with us. But first, a few words about our man. Razvan Lucescu is the son of the great Romanian football manager Mircea Lucescu, but during his managerial career he has also managed the now extinct Romanian club FC Brașov, Rapid Bucharest and Santi, among others, and with PAOK he has even managed to go unbeaten for a season, winning the title out of the great trio's hands. As a player, he did have senior appearances for a few clubs, but nothing to outshine his managerial career. At PAOK recently, he managed to take the opposition by surprise using a simple but very effective tactical setup, the 4-2-3-1 Gegenpress. I'm not joking. Razvan Lucescu has found success using this tactic. Imagine, the system has caused problems even for the mighty Fatih Terim, the current manager of Panathinaikos. As mentioned, this is a simple but effective tactical setup using central midfielders instead of defensive ones. In goal, a sweeper keeper on attack duty. If your keeper is good in possession, the better, as your team will need him to pass around the back and unlock the opposition's pressing game. In front of him, 2 wingbacks on support and 2 ball-playing defenders. I noticed that the wingbacks go up in the attack naturally and participate in the passing game, they don't rush forward. However, we should keep in mind that outliers on the flanks are needed, as PAOK tend to congest the midfield area and release the ball on the flanks to catch their opposition off guard. 1 ball-winning midfielder and 1 central midfielder on support make up the central area. A ball-winning midfielder was preferred as we needed balance in our tactic, and the defensive midfielder cannot be selected here. A box-to-box one goes forward too often and the deep line playmaker is focused on the passing game rather than the defensive one. A central midfielder role was preferred as we need this player to gradually go up in the attacking third, congesting the central area. Thus, get further forward as player instruction is assigned. 1 inside forward on attack duty and 1 inverted winger on support duty are chosen as wingers. The right-sided player makes runs in the box on a regular basis, while the left-sided one chooses the moments when he cuts inside, and when he does it to score. The right-sided winger is told to sit narrower, so he will drag his direct opponent onto him, creating space on the flank. An attacking midfielder on attack duty is chosen then. He must link up play between the midfield, the wingers and the striker, but also take up scoring positions when the opportunity arises. This role is usually assigned to Yannis Constantelias in PAOK's setup. There are instances when he played as a left winger, so the inverted winger role is also chosen to emulate his movement. A very talented player in my opinion. And an advanced forward makes up the formation. As mentality, positive can be used. If you have the chance to use the attacking one and you dominate the game, you run the risk of destroying your opponent. Just ask Athletic Bilbao. In possession, fairly narrow attacking width, passing to space, shorter passing directness and a slightly higher tempo. I noticed that if you pass it shorter and you use this tempo, in the match engine, the opposition gives you quite a few fouls as your players move faster than the defenders. So it would be worth keeping that in mind. In transition, counter-press, counter and distribute the ball quickly to the defense and through short kicks. Out of possession, high press, a higher defensive line, trigger press more often and prevent the goalkeeper short distribution. There is a reason I mentioned that this is one of the best tactics I have used so far in FM. In my Building a Nation save in Romania with FC Voluntari, we broke the domestic competitions. We won the treble, winning the league by 19 points in the regular season and by 16 points in the playoff. We scored 125 goals and conceded 32 in the league. While in the UEFA Champions League, we have qualified as a top 8 team for the first time in this save, winning against teams like Juventus, Sevilla or Atletico Madrid, and drawing against AC Milan, Chelsea and Bayer Leverkusen. However, we were eventually knocked out in the round of 16 by Benfica, but not without going down with the fight. This was a very fun tactic to use, and I followed Razvan Lucescu's career so far since he was managing in Romania, and what he did in Greece with teams which are not top ones at the moment of his appointment is amazing.